She went on a live stream, I believe a day after the Uvalde tragedy, and sang Pumped Up Kicks multiple times in a joking manner and saying that that song is America's national anthem. So you see, this woman is vile. Sideshows had very interesting lives, with different backgrounds and physical attributes. Their jobs were not about being good or bad people. Their unusual bodies stole the show. Back in the day, having a disability, a congenital disorder, or an interesting ability meant that people will look at you in disgust or in fear. P.T. Barnum was the main person who took advantage of those people's susceptibilities and profited from them. Most of the time, over-embellishing the performers' disabilities or even faking them altogether. Around the 1940s, people understood that making fun of people's bodies was awful, and the sideshow phenomenon disappeared. But now we have a similar resurface of the original sideshows, only this time it's not only the outside people are fascinated about, but the personality itself. Let's take a dive into the modern day sideshows. The Lolcows. Sideshows, better known as freak shows, were attractions you could find in carnivals and circuses in the 19th century and part of the 20th. They were a display of human oddities. People with some sort of disability or congenital disorder would be exhibited. Sure, there were shows like The Strong Man, who was just some muscle dude, or The Guy Who Swallows Swords, but the main attractions were the ones where humans were born different. They were paid for this and made a living out of their conditions, but the morality behind it was non-existent. People will pay money to point and laugh at someone who couldn't help to be born the way they did. In the 40s, people started talking about this being inhumane, so circuses and carnivals stopped the shows. The sideshows became their own bosses and kept performing solo until it was gone. At least the disability shaming was. There are still acrobats, clowns, and many other performances active in circuses today. A lolcow is basically a person being milked for the lols. These are people who crave attention online and exploit their eccentricities for views and sometimes for money. I believe the term was created thanks to Chris Chan, the very first lolcow, now categorized as a horror cow, something I will talk about in a few moments. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, this video exists because of this article that I found about lolcows and cruelty online. I do agree that there is a fine line between a lolcow and just straight up bullying, but to me, information is what makes the difference. I will give you an example. Foodie Beauty. When I found her, she was just a regular girl fighting obesity. Everybody wanted to see her thrive and was rooting for her, at first. Over the years, we, the audience, have come to really get to know her and realize her personality is deeply flawed. That's an understatement. She's an animal abuser, she's a people abuser, and she is now using Islam as a costume, among many other things. If I have to give you an example, it must be this. She went on a live stream, I believe a day after the Uvalde tragedy, and sang Pumped Up Kicks multiple times in a joking manner and saying that that song is America's national anthem. So you see, this woman is vile. She is basically a soap opera that I refuse to stop watching because I am invested in it. It's not cruelty, we just expect karma. People who discover her and question us about the displeasure towards her just need to inform themselves a little bit to quickly change their minds. Even talking about Chris Chan, the main lolcow, you can consider it cruel because I believe they are autistic. But people were fascinated by their unconventional personality, and again, just like in Foodie Beauty's case, there was a realization that Chris Chan was not as good of a person as we all thought. The vast majority of lolcows have skeletons they tried to hide but failed, exposing their true self while trying to go back in time, making everyone believe they are good people, but heavily misunderstood. I think talking about some of them will give some clarity to the story, but as a consensus, a good amount of lolcows are dancing between narcissistic personality disorder and histrionics. The person in the article focuses on TikTok, a platform I do not use, but as far as I know, you can find Tofia Chu and Elphaba over there. Those two started as underdogs until we started listening to them and all the controversies they have.
You want to be a victim so bad, I will let them know that you're a victim of eating too many Big Macs, okay? That's what you're a victim of eating too many Big Macs. That double chin should say all that it needs to say.
At first, it may seem like bullying, which brings me to another topic. TikTok is a platform mainly for teens and young adults, people who are still in school. An app that allows them to express themselves freely and explore hobbies and new techniques. The problem comes when those people are found. Bullying is a thing in school, so a little bit of fame with a lot of individuality equals a very bad day. These kids become local lolcows, kind of like the Sideshows back in the day. It may be a physical disability or a mental issue, but any sort of unique attribute is punished by dumb teenagers who expect everybody to blend in. The kids face backlash in person and then they go online and find awful comments that are basically a disease because it only takes one hater to spread into thousands more. There was this trend where they will use motivational speaker Lizzie Velasquez to trick kids into believing she was their new teacher. This was to make the kids afraid so the parents could record the reactions.
TikTok, I need your help. This trend where you are pretending to FaceTime someone who is either disabled or is a baby or is some crazy mugshot, and you're showing it to someone to get their reaction and saying, oh, hey, talk to this person just to get a quick laugh. This is not funny. This is not a joke. If mom was showing her son a video of me or picture of me and saying, this is your teacher for the new school year, and he had a scared reaction on his face. If you are an adult who has a young human in your life, please do not teach them that being scared of someone who doesn't look like them is okay. Please. Everything that these kids need to know about having empathy and being kind to one another starts at home.
Here, the parents were chastised by the internet. Lizzie is not a lolcow whatsoever. If anything, people are actively defending and protecting her. Again, a lolcow is not just about the looks, it's about the actions behind the person. And those actions are talked online not only by the comment section, but also by the reactors. These are creators who expose the gaslighting the cows spread. Put them as the people in the crowd outside a P.T. Barnum performance, pointing out the morality of the people involved. The author also comments about Britney Spears and how people were memeing her mental illness. Britney Spears is not a lolcow. I don't think anybody believes she belongs in that category. She has made weird and cryptic videos which people have commented about, and sure, memes will come up. But as to say she as a person is to be laughed at? No, not at all. But the article does mention a good example of someone who started as a lolcow and descended into madness. Gabbie Hanna started in Vine making small skits, and when the platform disappeared, she hopped on YouTube and created a channel where she would do story times about her life. Gabbie became a musician, and we could see an eccentric personality emerging. She will embellish stories, lie about some of them, and fight people. She became a lolcow after that, but then she disappeared. What we later learned was that she was having a manic episode. She was uploading a bunch of TikTok videos a day, and she became extremely reckless as to open the doors to her house to a fan that showed up randomly.
By the way, Nick, yes. I know you know who I am. Come on. Why did you lie to me this whole time? Why did you lie to me? That's for my acne, you dumb cunt. Get the fuck out of my house. Now. Now. Now!
Gabbie Hanna was later diagnosed with bipolar disorder, ADHD, and an anxiety disorder. After this, she became a fitness instructor and she went offline for a while. Things were looking promising, but some habits are hard to change, and her need to be admired and watched were stronger. So, she's back. And yes, she's still a lolcow. Another example I can give is these ladies. I think they're called the theme park hoppers. These are adult women who go to theme parks, try the rides, and tell their plus-size audience if they can fit in them or not. They also try the food and the vibe of the parks they visit. Now, let's not pass by the obvious. People are making fun of them because of their weight. Some people do give positive advice, but let's be honest here, they are not asking for any. Their page is for fun and they are having fun. I believe one of them is actually on a weight loss journey, which is great, but their content is about theme parks and how to navigate them as plus size, something a lot of people are and appreciate the information. What I'm saying is these women are being singled out because of their weight, but they are not lolcows. This behavior is the same as back in the day with the biggest woman in the world or the thinnest man alive. Making fun of people's appearances was the OG Sideshow performance. Let's not go back there. The author talks about some of the most famous lolcows on TikTok and talks about how the audience was basically pushing them into being what they became. Authentic is joined by other, less kind phrases used to describe the TikTok creators pegged as new era lolcows. Easy targets, gullible, vulnerable, and memeable. Viewers chimed in with dozens of examples, including viral pages of those like Tofia Chu, Elphaba, Daniel Larson, and one of the most controversial, World of T-shirts. Joshua Block, the face of World of T-shirts, shot to popularity in the pandemic, known for his daily vlogs around New York City featuring spontaneous performances, verbal assails, and destructive drinking. His account, followed by 3.6 million people, boasts even more millions of views by onlookers who proclaim to obsessively watch his videos out of morbid fascination. Block and Chandler are examples of the bleak direction lol farming can head, where incessant goading leads creators down increasingly harmful pathways and often abusive behavior, lobbed towards themselves or others. There's no denial the internet is filled with people that want to be entertained, no matter how, but let's not remove free will here. Some people crave the attention of strangers. They need to feel validated and seek to be noticed. The lolcows saw the engagement their antics were getting and they decided to escalate the behavior. They chose this. Yes, they were encouraged, but they could have stopped it. All of the people mentioned here have the capability of making their future decisions. Let's take World of T-shirts here. He is under the autism spectrum and he was born with an addiction predisposition. But the guy is mean. You can't just let him harass people just because he's high functioning. That's not how it works. That is to say, every person with autism is free to be a horrible person. The author continues. Some of the most popular lolcows are, in the eyes of the internet and often the law, bad people. Quotations. The perpetrators of legitimate crimes, threats, or problematic behavior. Others branded with the title are right-wing or even white supremacist figureheads. Cancel culture thus collides with lolcows in a flurry of retaliatory online behavior. But here's the thing with the quotations and such. Some of the lolcows have actual problems with the law. Chris Chan was arrested for sexually abusing their elderly mother. There are a lot of PDFs in the lolcow community and a lot of overall abusers. These are objectively horrible people. Sure, some of them just have eccentric personalities that eat attention, but the author focuses on the worst side of the lolcow spectrum. Daniel Larson, another person the author comments about, has been terrorizing people in his town for years. This is someone who at first you will think he's not in control of his mind, but then later does things that negate that. I can see the author's good heart among the myriads of buzzwords like neo-Nazis and alt-right pipeline. I don't see sides here, nor politics involved. These are people who want to be the center of attention no matter how. But I get how the article links them to relentless online bullying, a reality that affects many people. But in some cases, it's easy to blame the masses while removing accountability from the person. The difference between the old-timely sideshows and the modern-day lolcows is that the performer needed the job. That was the paycheck for them because otherwise they would not get food on their table, in comparison to the lolcows. The internet can make you famous and your life be transformed forever without lifting a finger. These lolcows are perfectly capable of finding a regular 9 to 5 while the Sideshows couldn't. They weren't allowed to. We cannot erase bullying being a factor in pushing a creator to the dark side, but usually a lolcow started as a beloved person who created a community hiding their true self, one that slowly unraveled. It's easy to become famous online when you engage in histrionics. It might help if you know what to do next, but these lolcows usually think in the now, and that's because they have something in common. All of them have a crippling terminal disease, main character syndrome. What do you think? Leave me a comment down below if you know about lolcows and tell me if you do follow one. I hope you enjoy the video. Please subscribe to the channel, it's completely free. Also leave a like, that'll be great. Have a fantastic day and I'll see you the next one. Stay safe.